Hello there, this is Marcio, and this is another episode of Coding with Agents, or the longer version, Culture Coding with Agents. Welcome to the session, and what we have here reflections in real time from the routine of a builder, a developer. Okay, so I'm generally working different projects with agents and learning how to work with agents now in the AI agentic days, right? Okay. Today, the case that I have here, my session, the thing in front of me, what's in my plate, um, it's a system ha- that supports storytelling, visual storytelling. Okay. And I am putting together bits and pieces because I think visual storytelling for the rest of us needs a better answer in terms of tools. I really enjoy when the visual tools are helping us to communicate better, not because we're talking about special effects for the sake of special effects, but because there are visual effects, they are supporting us with the professional narrative. So, for example, if you think about executive communications, right? Barbara Minter is a reference here. She's the author of the book entitled The Mental Pyramid Principle. Okay. And in the introduction of her amazing work, by the way, work that, according to important um, people who respected her, she cracked the communication code. A reference here, if you want to take a look, is a talk from Silicon Valley investor Michael Deering from Harrison Metal, and he gave the talk. It's online. It's the title of this talk is Executive Communications, and he talks about the days when he learned about the work of Barbara Minto, and when the story there is amazing. Okay, is and it's he goes he covers the story of when Michael Eisner of Disney told him that Barbara Minto cracked the code of communications. Okay. All right. So what is that, and why I'm mentioning Barbara here? Right? So think about this. According to Barbara, right? Human beings, right? Um, think about a person that is part of your audience. This person is a solutions oriented, carries a solutions oriented mindset, right? So in this scenario, okay, if you have somebody in your audience looking for a solution, and that could be the case of investors, for example, or the buyer for certain things, but then the communication, if you want something from that person, right, from that user, from that audience, and then according to Barbara, the canonical form for communicating with that person is situation, complication, question, answer, right? Situation is the something that you say that that person agrees with. Then complication, why we are here, could be complicated, could be the opportunity, but it's basically why we are here, right? And then the question, implied or not, leading to the answer, and the answer is organized like a pyramid. For instance, right, 3 points: important things first, then the other points, right? Now, okay, so okay, w- why you're mentioning this, Marcia, right? Because in some cases, when you're showing, say, a slide, or you're referring to something, we're pointing, right? You're gonna show like a cup there, right? Why, right? It's that's part of a situation. It's part of a complication. It's the question. It's the answer. It's a supporting point, right? Okay. So now back to the visual tool. what you see in the middle of this screen is a kind of a fake newspaper screen, right? You see the orange area? That's a section of this page. Think this as a web page, right? And then what I'm building today is a tool so I can, highlight that section. I'll give you an example. Check it out. This is beautiful, right? I'm using an extension here. Wait a minute. I'm using an extension, right, in my browser. Oops, wait. An extension in my browser. Urgh. All right, check it out. This. Oops, whoops, 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 whoops. Yes, you see? That's a browser extension that I can take content there and zoom in, and then if I mouse over, right, it bounces, that kind of thing. But that's not the visual effect today. That's one visual effect though. The case here is this, right? You see the calculator, right? And this is the newspaper case. Now check it out, right? I have something on the right hand side, okay, and that's called the inject editor enable selection, right? So I tap there, and then it says underneath, it says this, editor loaded. Click any div in the iframe to highlight it, okay? Now editor is loaded, injector, click, see the highlight there, right? Okay, let me do a zoom there too as well. That's another feature, by the way, of another tool. Now, check it out this. You see there's an option saying detach selected. Now it's white because I did click there. Oh, you didn't see the option there, but I did click the blue button there. Detach selected. Now check it out this. Animate to center. I'm gonna tap the button there. Wow. The section, actually it's better for you to not see in 3D, right? This section was detached from the page. Now return to origin, please. Wow. See how interesting, how nice. All right, so I came to the session saying, I want to update the system, right? It's not, it's beautiful. You got the point. It's assistant for applying a visual effect that we can, detach in 3D parts of a web page. That's so cool, right? All right. And now, but I want this case to be more interesting because there's a tool there and there's this dark theme around. But wait, it's a newspaper, the case, right? So let's change that newspaper to look like a newspaper. So using the agentic tool. Oh, that's not this project. That's another project. Using the agentic tool. All right. Wiplex Studios. Okay, just a second there. All right. Now I'm going to open the Visual Code editor. Okay. Looking at the visual here again. Let me close a few tabs there because this laptop is struggling now. Okay. All right. Codex on the right hand side. Visual Code trying to open the folder, the project. Suffering a little bit. I see there on the left hand side the public directory with samples, calculator, newspaper. Okay. That's basically a web page. All right. Now, thinking about the updates, right? I'm probably going to start writing the toolbar of the browser. I was thinking in us changing that That's not a good place to write, right? It's doing searches there. Let's just trust that this is going to open. hmm I see I have a README already. Let's see, is this? Yep, there's some descriptions there for the system. As far as I see right now, it's called Replex Teaching Teasers. Interesting there. I wonder why I gave that title when I started this project. But nevertheless, I was thinking in us changing the sample of the newspaper to actually look like a newspaper, right? Look like a newspaper. But instead of white, a pale white, right? That's a good one, right? Instead of white, a pale white, right? Okay. Now, now, when I noticed, now back to the main system, I noticed that when I tap detach, when I tap detach, it changes the style of the element, say to white with some other style. Now, I don't want that. I don't want that. Maybe we should not change the content anymore and instead just make a point that the so so that the user sees that the element was detached equals to detached. Now, now selecting now the same thing, right? When I inject editor enable selection, now after inject editor, make the button change its color so the controller shows injected. That is the only case where the button detach, 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 selected, injected. Then the buttons such as detach, selected should not be how you call visible or enabled. Enabled. In other words, disabled button grab style should be here. Should be here. Now, when I tap to click attach, which you will show the element info in the container. By the way, by the way, it's okay to show the element position x, y, w, x, y, w height with x, y width and height. So it should, and ID or some other keyed info. Um, Now, when I tap attachment, which will show the element info in the container, by the way, it's okay to show the position. Um, by the way, with a dash here, right? Then Also, we should not change the DOM with, say, an orange border. Maybe we could indeed put a border 1px that goes from orange to transparent in 2 seconds. All right. Now, that's it so far, right? Let's see. We do have some like interesting changes there. I think my system for animating the the 3D effects here to show you the visuals there. It's in the video. It's yeah, it's like not centering as I want. All right. It's thinking, working. Look at the system again. We see that we have tasks there already on the right hand side. Okay. Revamp newspaper sample page to feel like a pale newsprint layout. Great. Adjust visual editor to avoid restyling content and add transient selection glow. Wow, that's the naming. Transient selection glow to that part. And selection info messaging. Update controller UI logic styles for injected state. Yes, disable buttons and selection info display. Couldn't be better. Short, to the point. Very different in contrast to my narrative, right? Although, most of the narratives that I'm using, okay, here's a point. These are not invented right now, right? The carry on level of jargon there. So for reinventing the wheel, if you look at my prompt, right, there. Oh, apologies, I can't show you the prompt as I wanted. If you look at the prompt, right, it's like um, encrusted with jargon and like thinking us changing the sample of the newspaper, right? Of course, it's into the sample directory to actually look like a newspaper. Instead, white, pale white, right? That's like obviously driven by style ideas there, right? Models or heuristics. Now back to the main system. We're not talking about the sample anymore. I noticed that detach, it changes the style of the element. Yeah, yeah. We work at things there on the right hand side. Okay, let us see where is the server. Here it is. Okay, localhost port. Reload this thing. Newspaper. Ooh, That's a nice newspaper, don't you think? It changed everything. And I said, look like a newspaper, right? In studio hallways and midnight Figma sessions, a quieter palette is taking over. What's going on here, right? See, this is totally new for me, right? I mean, what is not totally new for me and for us going through these sessions, right? I urge you right now to stop everything you're doing. Well, not to stop everything you do, to pause everything you do and start recording your sessions maybe and send your sessions to me. All right, so designers are turning down Neo in favor of soft paper, crisp rules, and type that breathes. Teams report calmer handoffs and clearer prototypes when the canvas feels like a newsprint rather than a device backlight. All right. Anyway, say that I wanted to detach. I don't know if that's going to work. Inject the editor. Look at that on the right hand side. It's green. Editor injected. Now, oh, wait. I'm not able to. It's not selecting the element anymore. Injector, detach, animate. The whole newspaper animated, right? Return to origin. Now I wonder. Maybe as a mouse over, I could, see, right, with the border there, which is the element that I'm navigating, so I can actually tap, click when I want. But I really like the style, right? And then right now the demo is broke. Detach, animate to center, return to origin. I think, yeah, this detach, animate to center, return to origin. So there is certainly an element there that works when there is a, yeah, because the scroll is not being calculated, right? Yeah, this is beautiful, by the way, that the scroll is not being calculated. There's something there that we should pay attention. But I really don't like, because I wonder if there is an element there. Let's go back to the calculator a little bit. Inject the editor. Yeah, calculator is detach selected. Animate to center. Whoa. Return to origin. Detach. Animate to center. Return to origin. Newspaper. Go here. Yeah. Oh, let's do like this. Inject. Tap there. Detach. Animate to center. Oh yeah, see? Return to origin. Yes. Okay, so it is good. It's probably nothing, it didn't break anything. That you may call it bug was there already. But this is beautiful. And usually I always, when I end the videos, generally I pick a good moment, when I say you leave the party when things are okay, right? Don't stay there in the party un- until you're causing trouble. Nice design, huh? All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day.